HELLAS, a poem by Percy B. Shelley, written in 1821. Prologue to HELLAS. Herald of Eternity. It is the day when all the sons of God wait in a roofless Senate house, whose floor is chaos, and the immovable abyss frozen by his steadfast word to Hyalin, the shadow of God, and delicate, of that before whose breath the universe is a print of dew. Hierarchs and kings, who from your thrones, pinnacled on a past, sway the reluctant present, ye who sit, pavilioned on the radiance or the gloom of mortal thought, which like an exhalation steaming from earth conceals the kingdom of heaven which gave it birth. Avengers assemble here, before your Father's throne. The swift decree yet hovers, and the very incarnation is yet withheld, cloth in which it shall annul. The fairest of those wandering isles that gem the sapphire space of interstellar air, that green and azure sphere that earth unwrapped, less in the beauty of its tender light, than in an atmosphere of living spirit, which interpenetrating all it rolls from realm to realm, and age to age, and in its ebb and flow impels the generations to their appointed place, whilst the high arbitrator beholds the strife, and the appointed time sends his decree veiled in eternal vine. Within the circuit of this pendant orb there lies an antique region on which fell the dews of thought in the world's golden dawn, earliest and most benign, and from it sprung temples and cities, and immortal forms, and harmonies of wisdom and of song, and thoughts and deeds worthy of thoughts so fast. And when the sun of its dominion failed, and when the winter of its glory came, the winds that stripped it bare blew on and swept that dew into the utmost wildernesses, and wandering clouds of sunny rain that thawed the unmaternal bosom of the north. Haste, sons of God, for ye beheld reluctant or consenting or astonished the stern decrees go forth, which heaped on Greece ruin and degradation and despair. A fourth now waits. Assemble, sons of God, to speed or to prevent or to suspend, if as ye dream such power be not withheld, the unaccomplished destiny. Chorus 1. The curtain of the universe is rent and shattered, the splendor winged worlds disperse like wild doves scattered. Space is roofless and bare, and in the midst a cloudy shrine, dark amid thrones of light, in the blue glow of Hyalin. Golden worlds resolve and shine, in flight from every point of the infinite, like 1,000 dawns on a single night. The splendors rise and spread, and through thunder and darkness dread, light and music are radiated. And in their pavilioned chariots led by living wings high overhead, the giant powers move, gloomy or bright as the thrones they fill. A chaos of light and motion upon the glassy ocean. The senate of the gods is met, each in his rank and station set, There is silence in the spaces. Lo, Satan and Christ and Mahomet start from their places. Christ. Almighty Father, lo, kneeling at the feet of destiny, there are two fountains in which spirits weep, when mortals err, discord and slavery named, and with their bitter dew two destinies filled each their irrecoverable urns. The third, fairest and mightiest, mingled both, and added chaos and death, and slow oblivion limb, and hate and terror, and a poisoned rain. The aurora of the nations, by this brow, whose pores wept tears of blood, by these wide wounds, by this imperial crown of agony, by infamy and solitude and death, for this I underwent, and by the pain of pity for those who would dread for me the unremembered joy of revenge. For this I fell by Plato's sacred light, for which my spirit was a burning morrow, by Greece and all she cannot cease to be, her quenchless words, sparks of immortal truth, stars of all nights, her harmonies and forms, echoes and shadows of what love adores. In thee I do compel thee, send forth fate, thy irreprovable child, let her descend, a seraph-winged victory arrayed in tempest of the omnipotence of God, which sweeps through all things. From hollow leagues, from tyranny which arms adverse miscreants and emulous anarchies, to stamp, as on a winged serpent's seat, upon the name of freedom, from the storm of faction, which like earthquake shakes and sickens the solid heart of enterprise, from all by which the holiest dreams of highest spirits are stars beneath the dawn. She shall arise, victorious as the world arose from chaos. And as the heavens and the earth arrayed their presence in the beauty of the light, thy first smile, O Father, as they gather the spirit of thy love, which paves for them their path over the abyss, till every sphere shall be one living spirit. So shall Greece, Satan, be as all things beneath the imperium. Mine, art thou eyeless like all destiny, thou mockery king crowned with a wreath of thorns, whose scepter is a reed, the broken reed, which pierces thee, whose throne a chair of scorn. For seest thou not beneath this crystal floor the innumerable worlds of golden light, which are my empire, and the least of them, which thou wouldst redeem from me? Knowest thou not them my portion, or wouldst rekindle the strife, which our great Father then did arbitrate, which he assigned to his competing sons, each his appointed realm? Thou destiny, thou who art mailed in the omnipotence of him who sends thee forth, whatever thy task, speed, spare not to accomplish, and be mine. Thy trophies, whether Greece gain, become the fountain in the desert, whence the earth shall drink of freedom, which shall give it strength to suffer, or a gulf of hollow death, to swallow all delight, all life, all hope. Go, thou vice-regent of my will, no less than of the fathers, but lest thou shouldest faint, the winged hounds, famine and pestilence shall wait on thee, the 100-forked snake, insatiate superstition still shall the earth behind thy steps, and war shall hover above, and fraud shall gape below, and change shall flit before thee on her dragon wings, convulsing and consuming. And I add 3 vials of the tears which demons weep, when virtuous spirits through the gate of death pass triumphing over the thorns of life. Scepters and crowns, mitres and swords and snares, trampling in scorn, like him and Socrates. The first is anarchy, when power and pleasure, glory and science and security on freedom hang like fruit on the green tree. Then pour it forth, and man shall gather ashes, the second tyranny. Christ. Obdurate spirit, thou seest but the past in thee to come. Pride in thy error and thy punishment, boast not thine empire, dream not thy worlds are more than furnace sparks or rainbow drops. Before the power that wields and kindles them, true greatness asks not space, true excellence lives in the spirit of all things that live, which lends it to the world thou callest thine. Mahomet. Haste, thou, and fill the waning crescent with beams as keen as those which pierced the shadow of Christian night rolled back upon the west, when the orient moon of Islam rode in triumph from tumulus of the acroaked Syrian snow. Wake, thou word of God, and from the throne of destiny, even to the utmost limit of thy way, may triumph. Be thou a curse on them whose creed divides and multiplies the Most High God. Hellas. De dramatische persona zijn Mahmoud, Hassan, Daoud, Asurius, a Jew, chorus of Greek captive women, the phantom of Mahomet, messengers, slaves, and attendants. The scene lies in Constantinople. The time is sunset. Scene, a terrace on the Segario. Mahmoud sleeping on an Indian slave. Mahmoud sleeping, an Indian slave sitting beside his couch. Chorus of Greek captive women. We strew these opiate flowers on thy restless pillow. They were striped from Orient bowers by the Indian billow. By thy sleep, calm and deep, like theirs who fell, not ours who weep. Away, unlovely dreams, away, false shapes of sleep. Be his as heaven seems, clear and bright and deep, soft as love and calm as death, sweet as a summer night without a breath. Chorus. Sleep, sleep, our song is laden with the soul of slumber. It was sung by a Semanian maiden, whose lover was of the number, who now keep that calm sleep, whence none may wake, where none shall weep. Indian. I touched thy temples pale, I breathed my soul on thee, and could my prayers avail, all my joys should be dead, and I would live to weep. so thou mightst win 1 hour of quiet sleep. Chorus. Breathe low, low the spell of the mighty mistress now, when conscience lulls her sated snake, and tyrant sleep let freedom wake. Breathe low, low the words which like secret fire shall flow through the veins of the frozen earth. Low, low, semi-chorus. Life may change, but it may fly not. Hope may vanish, but can die not. Truth be veiled, but still it burneth. Love repulsed, but it returneth. Semi-chorus the second. Yet where life a charnel were, hope lay coffined with despair. Yet where truth a sacred lie, love were lost. Semi-chorus first. If liberty lends not life its soul of light, hope its iris of delight, truth if its proper prophet's robe to wear, love its power to give and bear. Chorus. In the great morning of the world, the Spirit of God with might unfurled, the flag of freedom over chaos, and all its bannered anarchs fled, like vultures frighted from Emmaus, before an earthquake thread. So from time's tempestuous dawn, freedom's splendor burst and shone, Thermopylae and Marathon, caught like mountains beaconed light, the springing fire, the winged glory, on Philippi have alighted. Like an eagle on a promontory, its unwearied wings could fan the quenchless ashes of Milan, from age to age, from man to man. It lived and lit from land to land. Florence, Albion, Switzerland. Then night fell. And as from night, reassuming fiery flight, from the west swift freedom came, against the course of heavens and doom, a second sun arrayed in flame, to burn, to kindle, to illume. From far Atlantis its young beams chased the shadows and the dreams. France, with all her sanguine steams, hid, but quenched it not. Again through clouds its shafts of glory rain, from utmost Germany to Spain. As an eagle fed with morning, scorns the embattled tempest warning, when she seeks her airy hanging in the mountain cedars hair, and the brood expect the clanging of her wings through the wild air, sick with famine. Freedom so, to what of Greece remaineth now, returns, her hoary ruins glow, like orient mountains lost in day, beneath the safety of her wings, her renovated nurslings pray, and in the naked lightnings of truth they purge their dazzled eyes. Let freedom leave where'er she flies, a desert or a paradise. Let the beautiful and the brave share her glory o'er a grave. With the gift of gladness Greece did thy cradle strew. With the tears of sadness Greece did thy shroud bedew. With an orphan's affection she followed thy bier through time, and at thy resurrection reappeareth like thou sublime. If heaven should resume thee, to heaven shall her spirit ascend. If hell should entomb thee, to hell shall her high heart bend. If total annihilation, dust let her glories be, and a name and a nation be forgotten, freedom with thee. Indian. His brows grows darker, breathe not, move not. He starts, he shudders, yet that love not. With your pain panting loud and fast, hath awakened him at last. Mahmud starting from his sleep. Man, the cigar you guard, make fast the gate. What? From a cannonade of 3 short hours, 'tis false. That breach towards the Bosphorus cannot be practicable yet. Who stirs? Stands to the match, that when the foe prevails, one spark may mix in reconciling ruin. The conqueror and the conquered, heave the tower into the gap, wrench off the roof. Enter Hassan. Ha! What? What? The truth of day lightens upon my dream, and I am Mahmud still. Hassan, your sublime highness is strangely moved. Mahmud, the times do cast strange shadows on those who watch and who must rule their course, lest they, being first in peril as in glory, be whelmed in the fiery ebb. And these are of them. Thrice has a gloomy vision haunted me, and thus from sleep into the troubled day it shakes me as the tempest shakes the sea, leaving no figure upon memory's glass. Would that no matter thou didst say thou knewest a Jew whose spirit is a chronicle of strange and secret and forgotten things. I bade thee summon him, 'tis said his tribe dream, and are wise interpreters of dreams. Hassan, the Jew of whom I spake is old, so old he seems to have outlived a world's decay. The hoary mountains and the wrinkled ocean seem younger still than he. His hair and beard are whiter than the tempest-sifted snow. His cold pale limbs and pulses arteries are like the fibers of a cloud instinct with light, and to the soul that quickens them are as the atoms of the mountain's drift to the winter's wind. But from his eye looks forth a life of uncostumed thoughts which pierces the present, the past, and the to come. Some say that this is he whom the great prophet Jesus, son of Joseph, and for his mockery mocked with the curse of immortality. Some feign that he is Enoch. Others dream he was pre-adamant and has survived cycles of generations and of ruin. The sage in truth be dreadful abstinence and conquering penance of the mutinous flesh, deep contemplation and unwearied study, in years outstretched beyond the date of man, may have attained to sovereignty and science over those strong and secret things and thoughts which others fear and know not. I would talk with this old Jew. Thy will is even now made known to him, where he dwells in a sea cavern midst the demonesy, less accessible than thou art God. He would question him, must sail alone at sunset, where the stream of ocean sleeps around those foamless isles, when the young moon is westering as now, and evening airs wander upon the wave, and when the pines of that bee-pasturing isle green Erebinthus quenched of the fairy shadow of his gilt prow within the sapphire water, then must the lonely helmsman cry aloud, Arthurius, and the caverns round will answer, Arthurius. If his prayer be granted, a faint meteor will arise, lightning lighting him over Marmora, and a wind will rush out of the shining pine forest. And with the wind a storm of harmony unutterably sweet, and pilot him through the soft twilight to the Bosphorus, thence at the hour and place and circumstance fit for the matter of their conference. The Jew appears. Few dare, and few who dare win the desired communion, but that shout bodes. A shout within Mahmud. Evil, doubtless, like all human sounds. Let me converse with spirits. Hassan. That shout again. Mahmud, this Jew whom thou hast summoned. That shout again. This Jew whom thou hast summoned will be here, when the omnipotent hour to which are yoked he and I in all things shall compel. Enough! Silence! Those mutineers, that drunken crew, that crowd about a pilot in the storm. I strike the foremost shorter by a head. They weary me, and I have need of rest. Kings are like stars, they rise and set. They have the worship of the world, but no repose.
Allerbeste aan.
Worlds, worlds on worlds are rolling over, from creation to decay, like the bubbles on a river, sparkling, bursting, borne away. But they are still immortal, who through birth orient portal, then dark, and death's dark chasm hurrying to and fro, clove their unceasing flight in the brief dust and light, gathered around their chariots as they go. New shapes they still may weave, new gods, new laws receive. Bright or dim are they as the ropes they last on death's bare ribs and cast. A power from the unknown God, a Promethean conqueror came, like a triumphal path he trod, like thorns of death and shame. A mortal shape to him was like the vapor dim, which the orient planet animates with light. Hell, sin, and slavery came, like bloodhounds mild and tame, ne'er nor prayed until their Lord had taken flight. The moon of Mahomet arose, and it shall set, while blazoned as on heaven's immortal noon, the cross leads generations on, swift as the radiant shapes of sleep, from one whose dreams are paradise, fly when the fond wretch wakes to weep, and day peers forth with her blank eyes, so fleet, so faint, so fair, the powers of earth and air fled from the folding star of Bethlehem. Apollo, Pan, and Love, and even Olympian Jove grew weak, for killing truth had glared on them. Our hills and seas and streams disppeopled on their dreams, their waters turned to blood, their dew to tears, wailed for the golden years. Enter Mahmud, Hassan, Dahoud, and others. Mahmud. More gold? Our ancestors bought gold with victory, and shall I sell it for defeat? Dawood. The Janissars clamor for pay. Mahmud. Go, bid them pay themselves with Christian blood. Are there no Grecian virgins, whose shrieks and spasms and tears they may enjoy? No infidel children to impale on spears? No holy priest after their patriarch, who bent the curse against this country's heart, which clove his own at last? Go, bid them kill. Blood is the seed of gold. Dawood. It has been sown, and yet the harvest to the sickleman is as a grain to each. Mahmud. Then take this signet, unlock the seventh chamber in which lie the treasures of victorious Solomon, an empire's spoil stored for a day of ruin. O spirit of my sires, is it not come? The prey birds and the wolves are gorged and sleep, but these who spread their vast feast on the red earth hunger for gold, which fails not. See them fed, then lead them to the rivers of fresh death. O miserable dawn, after a night more glorious than the day which it usurped, O faith in God, O power on earth, O word of the great prophet, whose overshadowing wings darken the thrones and idols of the west, now bright. For thy sake cursed be the hour, even as a father by an evil child, when the orient moon of Islam rolled in triumph from Caucasus to white Sarunia, ruin above and anarchy below, terror without and treachery within, the chalice of destruction full, and all thirsting to drink. And who among us dares to dash it from his lips? And where is hope? Hassan. The lamp of our dominion still rides high. One God is God. Mahomet is his prophet. 400,000 Muslims from the limits of utmost Asia irresistibly thrown like full clouds at the Sycro's cry, but not like them to weep their strength in tears. They bear destroying lightning, and their step wakes earthquake to consume and overwhelm and reign in ruin. Pygerian Olympus, Timoleus and Latmos and Michael roughen with horned arms, and lofty ships even now, like vapors anchored to the mountain's edge, freighted with fire and whirlwind, wait at Scala to convoy of the ever-fearing wind. Samos is drunk with blood. The Greek has paid brief victory with swift loss and long despair. The false Moldavian serfs fled fast and far, when the fierce shout of Allah, Ilah, Allah rose like the war cry of the northern wind, which kills the sluggish clouds and leaves a flock of wild swans struggling with the naked storm. So were the lost Greeks on the Danube's day. If night is mute, yet the returning sun kindles the voices of the morning birds. Nor at thy biddings less exultingly than birds rejoicing in the golden day, the anarchies of Africa unleash their tempest-winged cities of the sea, to speak in thunder to the rebel world. Like sulphurous clouds half shattered by the storm, they sweep the pale Aegean, while the queen of ocean, bound upon her island throne, far in the west sits mourning that her sons, who frown on freedom, spare a smile for thee. Russia still hovers as an eagle night Within a cloud near which a kite and crane hang tangled in inextricable fight. To stoop upon the victor, for she fears the name of freedom even as she hates thine. But recrescent Austria loves thee as the grave love pestilence, and the slow dogs of war fleshed within the chase come up from Italy and howl upon their limits, for they see the panther freedom fled to her old cover, amid seas and mountains and a mightier brood crouch round. What anarch wears a crown of mitre, or bears the sword, or grasps the key of gold, whose friends are not thy friends, whose the foes thy foes? Our arsenals and our armories are full, our forts defy assault. 10,000 cannon lie ranged upon the beach, and hour by hour their earth-convulsing wheels affright the city. The galloping of fairy steeds make pale the Christian merchant, and the yellow Jew hides the hoard, his hoard deeper in the faithless earth, like clouds and like the shadows of the clouds over the hills of Anatolia. Swift in white troops the Tartar chivalry sweep, the far flashing of their starry lances reverberates the dying light of day. We have one God, one King, one hope, one law, but many-headed insurrection stands divided in itself and soon must fall. Mahmud, proud words, when deeds come short, are seasonable. Look, Hassan, on yon crescent moon emblazoned upon the shattered flag of fiery cloud which leads the rear of the departing day. Worn emblem of an empire fading snow. See how it trembles in the blood-red hair. See how it trembles in the blood-red air, and like a mighty lamp whose oil is spent, strings on the horizon edge, while from above one star with insolent and victorious light hovers above its fall, and with keen beams like arrows through a fainting antelope strikes its weak form to death. Even as that moon renews itself, shall we be not renewed? Far other bark than ours were needed now to stem the torrent of descending time. The spirit that lifts the slave before his lord stalks through the capitals of armed kings and spreads his ensign in the wilderness, exults in change, and when the rebel falls, cries like the blood of Abel from the dust. And the inheritors of the earth, like beasts, when earthquake is unleashed, with idiot fear cower in their kingly dens, as I do now. What were defeat when victory must appall, or danger when security looks pale? How said the messenger who from the fourth ice landed in the Danube saw the battle of Bucharest, that, Hassan, Ibrahim's scimitar drew with its gleam swift victory from heaven, to burn before him in a night of battle, a light and a destruction. Mahmud, the day was ours, but how, Hassan? The light Wallachians, the all-knowed Servian and Albanians allies, fled from the glance of our artillery, almost before the thunderstone alit. One half the Grecian army made a bridge of safe and slow retreat, with Muslims dead. The other. Mahmud, speak, tremble not, Hassan. Islanded by victor myriads formed in hollow square, with rough and steadfast front and thrice flung back the deluge of our flaming cavalry. Thrice their keen wedge of battle pierced our lines. Our baffled army trembled like one man before a host and gave them space, but soon from the surrounding hills the batteries blazed, kneading them down with fire and iron rain. Yet none approached, till like a field of corn, under the hook of the sword sickleman, the band entrenched in mounds of Turkish dead, grew weak and few. Then said the Pacha, slaves, render yourself, they have abandoned you with hope of refuge or retreat or aid. We grant our lives, grant that which is thine own, cried one, and fell upon his sword and died. Another God? And man and hope abandon me, but I to them and to myself remain. Constant, he bowed his head, and his heart burst. A third exclaimed, there is a refuge, Thailand, where thou darest not pursue and canst not harm. Shouldst thou pursue, there we shall meet again. Then held his breath, and after a brief spasm, the indignant spirit cast its mortal garment among the slain, dead earth upon the earth. So these survivors, each by different ways, some strange, all sudden, none dishonorable, met in triumphant death. And when our army closed in, while yet wonder and awe and shame held back the base hyenas of the battle that feed upon the dead and fly the living, one rose out of the chaos of the slain. And if it were a corpse, which some dread spirit of the old saviors of the land we rule had lifted in its anger, wandering by, or if there burned within the dying man unquenchable disdain of death and fate creating what it feigned, I cannot tell, but he cried, phantoms of the free, we come, armies of the eternal, yet ye who strike to dust the citadels of sanguine kings, and shake the souls thrown by their stony hearts, and thaw their frostwork diadems like dew. O ye who float around this clime, and weave the garment of the glory which it wears, whose frame through earth betray the dust it clasps, lie sulphured in the monumental thought, progenitores of all that yet is great, ascribe to your bright senate. O accept in your high ministrations us, your sons, us first, and the more glorious yet to come. And ye weak conquerors, giants who look pale when a crushed worm rebels beneath your thread, the vultures and the dogs, your pensioners tame, are overgorged, but like oppressors still they crave the relic of destruction's feast. The exaltations and the thirsty winds are sick of its blood. The dew is foul with death. Heaven's light is quenched in slaughter. Thus where upon your camps, cities, or towers, or fleets, the obscene birds, the reeking remnants cast of these dead limbs, upon your streams and mountains, upon your fields, your gardens, and your housetops, where'er the winds shall creep. The obscene birds, the reeking remnants cast of these dead limbs, upon your streams and mountains, upon your fields, your gardens, and your housetops, wherever the wind shall creep, or the clouds fly, or the dews fall, or the angry sun look down, with poised light, famine and pestilence and panic shall wage war upon our side. Nature from all her boundaries is moved against ye. Time has found ye light as foam. The earth rebels. The earth rebels. The earth rebels, and good and evil stake their empire over the unborn world of man. On this one cast, but ere the die be thrown, the renovated genius of our race, proud umpire of the imperious game, descends, a seraph-winged victory bestriding the tempest of the omnipotence of God, which sweeps all things to their appointed doom, and you to oblivion. More he would have said, but died, as thou shouldst ere thy lips had painted their ruin in the hues of our success, a rebel's crime, guilt with a rebel's tongue. Your heart is Greek, Hassan. It may be so. A spirit not my own wrenched me within, and I have spoken words I fear and hate, yet would I die for. Live, oh live, outlive me and this sinking empire. But the fleet, alas, the fleet which like a flock of clouds chased by the winds flies the insurgent banner, our winged castles from their merchant ships, our myriads before their weak pirate bands, our arms before their chains, our years of empire before their centuries of servile fear. Death is awake. Repulse is on the waters. They own no more the thunder-bearing banner of Mahmud, but like hounds of a base breed, gorged from a stranger's hand and rend their master. Latmos and Ampelos and Phaneia saw the wreck, the caves of the Achaean isles, told each to the other in loud mockery and with the tongue as of a thousand echoes. First of the sea convulsing fight, and then thou darest to speak, senseless are the mountains. Interpreted thou their voice? Hassan, my presence bore a part in that day's shame. The Grecian fleet bore down at daybreak from the north, and hung as multitudinous on the ocean line as cranes upon the cloudless Thracian wind. Our squadron, conveying 10,000 men, was stretching towards Napoleon when the battle was kindled. First through the hail of our artillery, the agile hydrid barks with press of sail dashed ship to ship, cannon to cannon, man to man, were grappled in the embrace of war, inextricable but by death or victory. The tempest of the raging fight convulsed to its crystalline depths that stain the sea. And heaven shook, the roof of golden morning clouds, poised on 100 azure mountain isles. In the brief trances of the artillery, one cry from the destroyed and the destroyer arose, and a cloud of desolation wrapped the unforeseen event, till the north wind sprung from the sea, lifted the heavy veil of battle smoke. Then victory! Victory! For as we fought, 3 frigates from Algiers bore down from Naxos to our aid, but soon the abhorred cross glimmered behind, before, among, around us, and that fatal sign dried with its beams the strength in Moslem's heart, as the sun drinks the dew. What more? We fled. Our noonday path over the sanguine foam was beaconed, and the glass struck the sun pale by our consuming transports. The fierce light made all the shadows of our sails blood red, and every countenance blank. Some ships lay feeding the ravaging fire even to the water's level. Some were blown up, some settling heavily sunk, and the shrieks of our companions died upon the wind that bore us fast and far. Even after they were dead, 9,000 perished. We met with the vulture's legion in the air, stemming the torrent of the tainted wind. They, screaming from their cloudy mountain peaks, stooped through the sulphurous battle smoke and perched, each on the weltering carcass that we loved, like its ill angel or its damned soul, riding from the bosom of the sea. We saw the dogfish hastening to their feast. Joy walked the voiceless people of the sea, and ravening famine left his ocean cave, to dwell with war, with us, and with despair. We met night 3 hours to the west of Patmos, and with night tempest. Cease! Enter a messenger. Your Sublime Highness, that Christian hound, the Muscovite ambassador, has left the city. If the rebel fleet has anchored in the port, had victory crowned the Greek legions in the hippodrome, panic were tamer. Obedience and mutiny, like giants in contention, planet struck, stand gazing on each other. There is peace in Istanbul. Mahmud, is the grave not calmer still? Its ruins shall be mine. Hassan, fear not the Russian. The tiger leagues not with the stag at bay. Against the hunter, cunning, base and cruel, he crouches, watching till the spoil be won, and must be paid for his reverse. Reserve in blood after the war is fought. Yield the sleek Russian that which thou canst not keep. He deserves portion of blood which shall not flow through streets and fields, rivers and seas, like that which we may win, but stagnate in the veins of Christian slaves. Enter second messenger. Napuria, Trimbrosia, Mothon and Athens, Navarine, Arthros, Mombasia, Corinth and Thebes are carried by a sword, and every Islamite who made his dogs fat with the flesh of Gallian slaves passed at the edge of the sword. The lust of blood which made our warriors drunk is quenched in death, but like a fiery plague breaks out anew in deeds which make the Christian cause look pale in its own light. The garrison of Patras has store but for 10 days, nor is there hope. But from the Briton, at once slave and tyrant, his wishes still are weaker than his fears, or he would sell with faith may yet remain from the oaths broken in Genoa or in Norway. And if you buy him not, your treasury is empty, even of promises. His own coin, the freedman of a western poet chief, holds Attica with 7,000 rebels, and has beat back the Pacha of Negropont. The aged ally sits in Yanina, a crownless metaphor of empire. His name, that shadow of his withered might, holds our besieged army like a spell in prey of famine, pest and mutiny. He bastioned in his citadel looks forth joyless upon the sapphire lake that mirrors the ruins of the city where he reigns. Childless and scepterless, the Greek has reaped the costly harvest, his own blood matured, nor not the sower. Ali, who has bought a truce from Ypsilanti with 10 camel loads of Indian gold. Enter a third messenger. What more, says Mahmud. Third messenger. The Christian tribes of Lebanon and the Syrian wilderness are in revolt. Damascus, Hems, Aleppo tremble. The Arab menaces Medina. The Ethiop has entrenched himself in Sana'a and keeps the Egyptian rebel well employed, who denies homage, claim infestious as price of tardy aid. Persia demands the cities of the Tigris, and the Gogrians refuse their living tribute. Crete and Cyprus, like mountains twins that from each other veins, catch the volcano fire, and earthquake spasm shake in a general fever. Throw the city like birds before the storm. The sentenced shriek, and prophesying horrible and new, they are heard among the crowd. That sea of man sleeps on the wreck it made, breathless and still. A dervish learned in the Quran preaches that it is written how the sins of Islam must raise up a destroyer even now. The Greeks accept a savior from the west, who shall not come, men say, in clouds and glory, but in the omnipresence of that spirit, in which all life and are ominous signs, and blazoned broadly on the noonday sky. One saw a red cross stand upon the sun. It has rained blood, and monstrous births declare the secret wrath of nature and her lord. The army encamped upon the Skidarius was roused at last. night by the alarm of battle, and saw two hosts conflicting in the air. The shadow doubtless of the unborn time cast on the mirror of the night, while yet the fight hung balanced. There arose a storm which swept the phantoms from among the stars. As the third watch, the spirit of the plague was heard abroad flapping among the tents. Those who relieved watch found the sentinels dead. The last news from the camp is that 1,000 have sickened, and enter the fourth messenger, Mahmud. And thou, pale ghost, dim shadow of some untimely rumor, speak. Fourth messenger, one comes fating with toil, covered with foam and blood. He stood, he says, on cello night's promontory, which overlooks the isles of that groan. Under the Britons' frown, and all their waters then trembling in the splendor of the moon, when as the wandering clouds unveiled or hid her boundless light, he saw two of first fleets stalk through the night in the horizon's glimmer, mingling fierce thunders and sulphurous gleams, and smoke which strangled every infant wind that soothed the silver clouds through the deep air. At length the battle slept. Then the Sirocco awoke and drove his flock of thunder clouds over the sea horizon, blotting out all objects, save that in the faint moon glimpse he saw or dreamed he saw the Turkish admiral and two of the loftiest of our ships of war, with the bright image of that Queen of Heaven, who hid perhaps her face of grief, reversed and the abhorrence cross, enter unattended. Your Sublime Highness, the Jew who, Mahmud, could not come more seasonably, bids him attend. I'll hear him no more. Too long we gaze on danger through the mist of fear, and multiply upon our shattered hopes the images of ruin. Come what will, tomorrow and tomorrow are as lamps set in our path to light us on the edge, through rough and smooth, nor can we suffer aught which he inflicts not, in whose hands we are. Exeunt, semi-chorus. Chorus, it's core. Would I were to the winged cloud of the tempest swift and loud, I would scorn the smile of morn, and the wave where the moonrise is born. I would leave the spirits of eve, a shroud for the corpse of the day to weave, from other threads than mine, bask in a deep blue noon divine. Who would, not I, with her to fly, where the rocks that girth the Aegean echo to the battle Picean. Of the free I would flee. A tempestuous herald of victory, my golden reign, for the Grecian slain, should mingle in tears with the bloody main, and my solemn thunder knell should ring to the world the passing bell of tyranny. Ah, King, wilt thou chain the rack and the rain? Wilt thou fetter the lightnings and hurricane? The storms are free, but we. O slavery, thou frost of the world's prime, killing its flower and leaving its thorns bare. Thy touch has stamped these limbs with crime. These brows thy branding garland bear, but the free heart, the impassive soul, scorn thy control. Let there be light, said liberty, and like sunrise from the sea, Athens rose. Around her bourne shone like mountains in the morn, glorious states. And are they now ashes, wrecks, oblivion? Where Thermia and Asopus swallowed Persia, as the sand does foam, deluge upon deluge followed, discord, Macedon, and Rome. And lastly thou, temples and towers, citadels and martyrs, and they who live and die there have been ours, and may be thine, and must decay. But Greece and her foundations are built below the tide of war, based on the crystalline sea of thought and its eternity. Her citizens, imperial spirits, rule the present from the past. On all this world of men inherit, their seal is set. Hear ye the blast, whose Orphic thunder thrilling calls from ruin her Titanian walls, whose spirit shakes the sapless bones of slavery. Argos, Corinth, Crete, hear, and from their mountains thrones the demons and the nymphs repeat the harmony. I hear, the world's eyeless charioteer. Destiny is hurrying by. What faith is crushed, what empire bleeds beneath her earthquake-footed steeds. What eagle-winged victory sits at her right hand. What shadow fits before, what splendor rolls behind. Ruin and renovation cry, who but we? I hear the hiss as of a rushing wind, the roar as of an ocean foaming, the thunder as of earthquake coming. I hear the crash as of an empire falling, the shrieks as of a people calling, mercy, mercy. How they thrill, then a shout of kill, kill, kill. And then a small still voice thus, revenge and wrong being forth their kind, the foul cups, like their parents are, their den is in the guilty mind, and conscience feeds them with despair. In sacred Athens, near the fane of wisdom, pity's altar stood. Serve not the unknown God in vain, but pay that broken shrine again. Love for hate and tears for blood. Enter Mahamut and Osiris. Thou art a man, thou sayest, even as we. Osiris, no more, Mahamut, but raised above thy fellow men, by thought as I by power. Osiris, thou sayest so, Mahamut. Thou art an adept in the difficult lore of Greek and Frank philosophy. Thou numberest the flower. Thou numberest the flowers, and thou measurest the stars. Thou servest element from element. Thy spirit is present in the past, and sees the birth of this old world through all its cycles of desolation and of loveliness, and when man was not, and how man became, the monarch and the slave of this low sphere, and all its narrow circles. It is much, I honor thee, and would be what thou art, were I not what I am, but the unborn hour. Cradled in fear and hope, conflicting storms, who shall unveil? Nor thou, nor I, nor any, mighty or wise, I apprehended not what thou hast taught me. But I now perceive that thou art no interpreter of dreams. Thou dost not own that art, device or God can make the future present. Let it come. Moreover, thou disdainest us and ours. Thou art as God, whom thou contemplatest. Osiris, disdain thee? Not the worm beneath thy feet. The fathomless not has care for meaner things than thou canst dream, and has made pride for those who would be what they may not, or would seem that which they are not. Sultan, talk no more of thee and me, the future and the past, but look on which cannot change. The one, the unborn and the undying, earth and ocean, space, in the isles of life or light that gem the sapphire floods of interstellar air, the firmament perfumed upon chaos. which with all its cressets of immortal fire, whose outwall bastioned impregnably against the escape of boldest thoughts, repels them as Calpe the Atlantic clouds. This whole of suns and worlds and man and beast and flowers, with all the silent or tempestuous workings by which they have been are, or cease to be, is but a vision. All that it inherits are the modes of a sick eye, bubbles and dreams. Thoughts is its cradle and its grave, nor less. The future and the past are idle shadows, are thought's eternal flight. They have no being. Naught is but that which feels itself to be. Mahmoud, wat bedoel je? What meanest thou? Thou words stream like a tempest of dazzling mist within my brain. They shake the earth on which I stand and hang like night on heaven above me. What can they avail? They cast on all things surest, brightest, best, doubt, insecurity, astonishment. Assurest the Jew. Mistake me not, all is contained in each the donors falleth to an acorn's cup. Is that which has been or will be all that which is, the absent of to the present, thought alone and quick's elements will. Passion, reason, imagination cannot die. They are that which they regard appears, the stuff whence mutability can weave. All that it hath dominion over the worlds, worms, empires and superstitions, what has thoughts to do with time or place or circumstance. Wouldst thou behold the future? Ask and have. Knock and it shall be opened. Look and lo, the coming age is shadowed to the past, as on a glass. Mahmud, wilder thoughts convulse my spirits. Did not Mahomet II win Istanbul? Absorius, thou wouldst ask that giant spirit the written fortunes of thy house and faith? Thou wouldst cite one out of the grave to tell how what was born in blood must die. Thy words have power on me, I see. What hearest thou? A far whisper, terrible silence. What succeeds? The sound of as of the assault of an imperial city, the hiss of inextinguishable fire, the roar of giant cannon, the earth-quakening fall of vast bastions and precipitous towers, the shock of cracks shot from strange enginery, the clash of wheels and clang of armed hoofs, and crash of brazen mail as of the wreck of adamant mountains, the mad blast of trumpets, and the neigh of raging steeds, the shrieks of women whose thrill jars the blood, and one sweet laugh, most horrible to hear, as of a joyous infant waked and playing with the dead mother breast, and now more loud the mingled battle cry, ha! Hear I not, Allah, ilah, Allah. The sulphurous mist is raised, thou seest a chasm as of two mountains in the wall of Istanbul, and in that ghastly breach of Islamites like giants on the ruins of a world, stand in the light of sunrise. In the dust glimmers a kingless diadem, and one of regal port has cast himself beneath the stream of war. Another proudly clad in golden armor spurs in Tartarian barb into the gap, with his iron mace directs the torrent of that tide of men, and seems he is Mahomet. What thou seest is but the ghost of thy forgotten dream, a dream itself, yet less perhaps than that thou callest reality. Thou mayst behold how cities on which empire sleeps enthroned bow their towered crest to multiplicity, poised on no flood. Even on the height thou holdest, thou mayest now learn how the full tide of power ebbs to its depth. Inheritor of glory, conceived in darkness, born in blood, and nourished with tears and toil, thou seest the mortal throes of that whose birth was but the same. The past now stands before thee like the incarnation of the to come. Yet wouldst thou commune with that portion of thyself which was ere thou didst start for this brief race whose crown is death, dissolve with that strong faith and fervent passion which called it from the uncreated deep, yon cloud of war, with its tempestuous phantoms of raging death, and draw with mighty will the imperial shade hither. Exit Azorius. The phantom of Mahomet II appears. Approach, phantom, approach. I come thence whither thou must go. The grave is fitter to take the living than give up the dead. Yet has thy faith prevailed, and I am here, the heavy fragments of the power which fell, and when I arose, like shapeless cracks in clouds hanging around my throne on the abyss, and voices of strange lament soothe my supreme repose, wailing for glory never to return, a later empire not in its decay. The autumn of the greener faith is come, and wolfish change like winter howls to strip the foliage in which fame the eagle built her airy wild dominion whelped below. The storm is in its branches, and the frost is on its leaves, and the blank deep accepts oblivion on oblivion, spoil on spoil, ruin on ruin. Thou art slow, my son. The anarchs of the world of darkness keep a throne for thee, round which thy empire lies boundless and mute. And for thy subjects thou, like us, shalt rule the ghost of murdered life, the phantasms of the power who ruled thee now, mutinous passions and conflicting fears, and hopes that sate themselves on dust and die, stripped of their mortal strength as thou of thine. Islam must fall, but we will reign together over its ruins in the world of death. And if the trunk be dry, yet shall the seed unfold itself even in the shape of that which gathered birth in its decay. Woe, woe to the weak people tangled in the grasp of its last spasms. Mahmud. Spirit, woe to all, woe to the wronged and the avenger, woe to the destroyer, woe to the destroyed, woe to the dupe, and woe to the deceiver, woe to the oppressed and woe to the oppressor, woe both to those that suffer and inflict, those who are born and those who die, must say, but say imperial shadow on the thing I am. When, how, by whom, destruction must accomplish her the consummation. Phantom. Ask the cold pale hour, rich in a reversion of impending death, when he shall fall, upon whose ripe grey hairs sit care and sorrow and infirmity, the weight which crime, whose wings are plumed with years, leaves in his flight from ravaged heart to heart, over the heads of men, under which burden they bow themselves into the grave. Fond wretch, he leans upon his crutch, and talks of years to come, and how in hours of youth renewed he will renew lost joys, and voice without, victory, victory. The phantom vanish, says Mahmud. What sound of the Fortunate earth has broken my mighty trance. Voice without, victory, victory. Mahmud, weak lightning before darkness, poor faint smile of dying Islam. Voice which asked the response of hollow weakness, do I wake and live? Where there's such things, or may the unquiet brain vexed by the wise, mad talk of the old Jew, have shaped itself the shadows of its fear? It matters not, for naught we see or dream, possess or lose or grasp at, can be worth more than it gives or teaches, come what may. The future must become the past, and I as they were to whom once the present hour, this gloomy crack of time to which I cling, seemed an Elysian isle of peace and joy, never to be attained. I must rebuke the drunkenness of triumph ere it die, and dying bring despair, victory, poor slaves. Exit Mahmud. Voice without, shout in this jubilee of death, the Greeks are as a brood of lions in the net, round which the kingly hunters of the earth stand smiling. Anarchs, ye whose daily food are curses, groans and gold, the fruit of death, from tool to the girdle of the world. Come feast, the boar groans with the flesh of man. The cup is foaming with the nation's blood. Famine and thirst await. Eat, drink and die. Chorus. Victorious throng with vulture scream salutes the rising sun, pursues the flying day. I saw her, ghastly as a tyrant's dream, perched on the trembling pyramid of night, beneath which earth and all her realms pavillioned lay. In visions of her dawning only light, who shall impede her flight? Who rob her of her prey? Victory! Victory! Russia's famished eagles dare not prey beneath the crescent light. Impale the remnant of the Greeks, despoil, violate, make their flesh cheaper than dust. Thou voice which art the herald of the ill in splendor hid, thou echo of the hollow heart of monarchy, bear me to thine abode, when desolation flashes over the world destroyed. O bear me to those isles of jagged cloud, which float like mountains on the earthquake's mid, the momentary oceans of the lightning, or to some toppling promontory proud, or solid tempest whose black pyramid riven overhangs the fount intensely brightening of those dawn-tingled deluge of fire before their waves expire, when heaven and earth are light and only light in the thunder night. Victory! Victory! Austria, Russia, England, and that same serpent, the poor shadow France, cry peace, and that means death when monarchs speak. Ho there, bring torches, sharpen those red stakes. These chains are light, fitter for slaves and poisonous than Greeks. Kill, plunder, burn, let none remain. Alas for liberty, if numbers wealth, or unfulfilling years, or fate can quell the free. Alas for virtue when formants of contumely, or the snares of erring judging man can break the heart where it abides. Alas, if love, whose smile makes the obscure world splendid, can change with its false times and tides, like hope and terror. Alas for love and truth who wanders lone and unbefriended. If thou canst veil thy light-consuming mirror before the dazzled eyes of error, alas for the image of the above. Repulse, with plumes from conquest torn, let the 10,000 form the limits of the morn. Throw many of on hostile anarchy, at length they wept aloud and cried, the sea, the sea. Through exile, persecution and despair, Rome was and young Atlantis shall become the wonder or the terror or the tomb of all whose step wakes power lulled in her savage lair. But Greece was as a hermit child, whose fairest thoughts and limbs were built to woman's growth by dreams so mild. She knew not pain or guilt. And now, O victory, blush, and empire tremble, when ye desert are free, desert are free, if Greece must be a wreck. Yet shall its fragments reassemble and build themselves again impregnably in a diviner clime, to amphibianic music on some cape sublime, which frowns above the idle foam of time. Let the tyrant rule the desert they have made. Let the free possess the paradise they claim. Be the fortune of our fierce oppressors weighed with our ruin, our resistance, and our name. Our dead shall be the seed of their decay. Our survivors be the shadows of their pride. Our adversity a dream to pass away. Their dishonor a remembrance to abide. Victory! Victory! The bought Britain sends the keys of ocean to the Islamites. Now shall the blazon of the cross be veiled, and British skill the electing of Ottoman might. Thunder strike rebel victory. O keep holy this jubilee of unrevenged blood. Kill, crush, despoil, let not the Greek escape. Darkness has dawned in the east. On the noon of time, the deaf birds descend to their feast. From the hungry clime, let freedom and peace flee far to the sunnier strand, and follow love's falling star to the evening land. The young moon has fed her exhausted horn with the sunset's fire. The weekday is dead, but the night is not born, and like loveliness panting with wild desire, while it trembles with fear and delight, Hesperus flies from a waking night, and pants in his beauty and speed with light. Fast flashing, soft and bright, thou beacon of love, thou lamp of the free, guide us far, far away, to climes where now fail to the ardor of day. Thou art hidden from waves on which weary noon faints in a summer swoon, between kingless continents, sinless as Eden, around mountains and islands inviolably pranked on the sapphire sea. Through the sunset of hope, like the shapes of a dream, what paradise islands of glory gleam beneath heaven's cope. Their shadows more clear float by, the sound of their oceans, the light of their sky, the music and fragrance, their solitude's breath, burst like morning on a dream, or like heaven on death, through the walls of our prison. And Greece, which was dead, is arisen. The world's great age begins anew. The golden years return. The earth doth like a snake renew her winter weeds outworn. Heaven smiles and faiths and empires gleam like wrecks of a dissolving dream. A brighter Hellas roars its mountains from waves serene far. A new Peneus rolls his fountains against the morning star. Where fairer tempests bloom, there sleep young Clydes on a sunnier deep. The loftier Argo cleaves the main, fraught with a later prize. Another Orpheus sings again, and loves and weeps and dies. A new Odysseus leaves once more Calypso for his native shore. Overwrite no more the tale of Troy, if earth death scroll must be nor mix with leien rage the joy which dawns upon the free, although the subtle sphinx renew riddles of death Thebes never knew. Another Athens shall arise, and to remoter time bequeath, like sunset to the skies, the splendor of its prime, and leave it, if not so bright may live, all earth can take or heaven can give. Saturn and love their long repose shall burst, more bright and good than all who fell, than one who rose, than many unsubdued. Not gold, not blood their altar dowers, but votive tears and symbol flowers. O cease! Must hate and death return? Cease! Must man kill and die? Cease! Drain off to its dregs and the urn of bitter prophecy. The world is weary of the past. Almighty die or rest at last.